Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Another Ijtema has come to an end. It was a blessed day and a blessed event, especially as Hazur Aqdas Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz graced us with his presence and delivered a really inspiring address to the Khuddam and Atfal here, motivating them to become better Ahmadi Muslims. In a moment, we will be speaking with Sadr Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya. But before then, let's take a look at how the Ijtema has been paying tribute to Queen Elizabeth II.
Actually, it's quite a sad and somber occasion this year, sadly following the demise of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
She was the mother of the nation. She has served the country for 70 years, more than 70 years. And it's a really sad news that in my heart. It was because the mother of the nation has passed away. And to me, England means everything. To me, the United Kingdom is everything. It's my nation, and I am ready to serve this nation in any cause I can. And I can sacrifice anything, like whenever the nation needs me, I would be there for the service.
Her Majesty was a great advocate of humanitarian causes, and as Humanity First, serving varying humanitarian projects, not only in the UK, but across the world. Many of our youngsters have taken a lot of vision and inspiration from her as well.
Ijtema obviously had been pre-planned for a very, very long time, but unfortunately we heard the sad news of the Queen's passing on Thursday evening, which was a very sad news for us. Our Khalifa shared his thoughts and his prayers for the Queen, which we all share, as Ahmadi Muslims share as well. We are mourning our Queen, and the fact that our celebration of the Ijtema, which is generally an event of celebration, needs to take that into consideration as well. So one thing that I've noticed is that the flags that have been hoisted to half-mast.
As soon as we heard, we immediately lowered the flags to half-mast, and we scaled back some of our activities. The Khuddam Ijtema is mostly about spirituality, it's mostly about education. That's a core theme that runs throughout it anyway, and especially this year the theme is honouring our pledge. And so we thought that, there's no better way to commemorate Her Majesty than to actually think about how best we can honour our pledges. The pledges that we've made to Huzur, to Khilafat, to ourselves, and most importantly to Allah Ta'ala as well.
In the same way, I've seen a very interesting exhibition that they've set up in memory of the Queen as well. We've not been able to also have some of our outdoor sports as well. Again, just out of respect for the Queen and her passing. And our prayers go out for her and her family.
So the Queen for me is a quintessential figurehead for not only myself but also for the nation as well. She served her country well over the past 70 years. And one of the things that I take away from the Queen's life is how, with such vigour, that she fulfilled her duty towards England, United Kingdom and the Commonwealth countries. And that's something that I tie in with myself and the pledge that I take when it comes to Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya as well, where it says that I shall sacrifice my time, wealth and honour for the sake of my country and nation. And I really believe that the Queen was a quintessential example of serving her country, and something that I would like to do as well for the rest of my life as well.
Of this year's Ijtema was the presence of Hazur Aqdas Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz, who gave that inspiring address. And to find out a bit more about that and also the Ijtema as a whole, we're very grateful to have with us respected Sadr Sahab Abdul Quddus Arif Sahab. Jazakallah for joining us.
Jazakumullah.
First of all, congratulations, Mubarako, on another successful Ijtema. How are you feeling?
Alhamdulillah, definitely it's a sense of relief that we were able to put this together. And the highlight, of course, has to be the presence of Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Aziz. I've been telling my Khuddam and Atfal brothers for so many months now that it's never a given that Khalifa al-Masih has to come to our Ijtema. We've just become so used to it, and so we should cherish it every time and every moment. So we're so fortunate that Hazur always blesses us and graces us with his presence. But like I said, it's never a given.
And how much of an honour is it, and how much of a blessing, and how much does it impact the Khuddam and Atfal here?
It has such a huge positive impact. Everyone comes to Ijtema wanting to see Hazur. I mean, I've met Khuddam who've, for the first time in their lives, they're attending Ijtema because they've come from overseas, and it's the first time they're seeing Hazur, praying behind Hazur. So it's priceless, it's invaluable. And of course, those Khuddam and Atfal that are in the UK as well, they've seen Huzur as well. Because of COVID, there's been a gap. They're not being able to come to Islamabad, praying in Masjid Mubarak. So events like this, events like Jalsa, Ijtemas, they serve as a huge positive battleground to do their tarbiyat. Like it speeds up everything. What we can do, what we may be achieved as a majlis maybe in decades, one sight of Khalifatul Masih can change someone's life.
Absolutely amazing. And just behind us, the flags are flying at half-mast out of respect for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who very sadly passed away just a day before the Ijtema began. So how did that change your plans, and how has the Ijtema been honouring and paying respect to the Queen?
Well, definitely, it was such a huge loss, and I think Hazrat Saab mentioned so many good traits of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and I think almost, the first few minutes were just dedicated to her services for her country and to the Commonwealth and the world at large. So definitely it's a huge loss for not just the country, for the world. And we wanted to show our respect as well. At first, when you initially heard it, it was literally on the evening of Thursday, so we had only a few hours left for the actual Ijtema to start. I didn't know what to do, so the first thing you always do is go speak and take guidance from Huzur, and Huzur so graciously gave the guidance that, look, it's a sad occasion. Look at the mood and the sentiments of society, and we should, not do sports, scale them back. It shouldn't be a jubilant occasion. Focus on the ta'aleem and tarbiyat of your Khuddam and Atfal. We're so fortunate that we have this direct guidance coming. We can go and ask and seek Huzur's guidance at any one moment. And even like with the flags, right? I was like, Huzur, what about Lawai Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya? What shall I do? And Huzur's like, look, if the country's flag is on half-mast, then how can Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya flag be above that? A huge lesson. Like, when we say that we will sacrifice our life, wealth, time and honor for the sake of our country, our nation, like Huzur's words kind of reflect so perfectly well that, look, your faith is important, but your pledge that you made, your covenant you made to your country and nation is just as important. And that's something which Huzur highlighted during his address as well.
Amazing. And there was a book of condolences as well?
We have a book of condolences. We put an exhibition together, overnight, again, with the guidance of Huzur. And so many people, so many Khuddam and Atfal were actually asking, like, where can we sign? Where do we offer our condolences to the royal family?
Amazing. Now, Ijtema is, sometimes a life-changing event, and it really helps motivate the Khuddam and Atfal to become better people. How do you keep Khuddam and Atfal engaged throughout the year, and what are your plans for the future?
So straight away, I think Huzur, another thing that Huzur said when he was giving guidance about the Ijtema, that because of the sad demise, postpone your sporting events. So, of course, after the mourning period, after the funeral of Her Majesty, when things somewhat come to normal again, I think that will be our first priority, is to hold an event for Khuddam and Atfal, for them to enjoy a leisure event or sporting event. It's just all about engaging, the more you're engaging your Khuddam and Atfal brothers, the more you'll see that they will come to the mosque and they will become associated with the Jamaat. And that's the purpose of the Majlis, like bring them closer to the Jamaat, bring them closer to Khilafat.
Absolutely. Jazakallah Saab, and congratulations once again. Now, it's not just the UK Jamaat which is holding Ijtemas, but Ijtema are happening all around the world. Different Jamaats around the world have been holding their Ijtemas for Khuddam and Atfal. So let's take a look at this one from Australia.
This covenant that you have made is a solemn undertaking, and so these words that you repeat time and time again should not be hollow, but should have meaning and should be kept at the forefront of your mind at all times. With your conduct, you should practically manifest this pledge.
Ashhadu an la ilaha illallahu wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh.
As the Ijtema commences, these are the words which are pledged in unison, words which resonate in every Khadam across the globe. But how does a Khadam strive to fulfill this pledge? Journeys lasting days, hundreds of kilometers across the Australian state and territories. Khuddam travel extraordinary distances to attend nationally organised events
At a quick glance, these events may appear simple and short-lived, but in reality, this mechanism is formed with hundreds of man-hours and labourers sacrificing what they can to achieve this sophisticated symposium. This complexity is demonstrated by the fact that preparations begin months in advance.
Approximately about 120, roughly that many Khuddam, basically the volunteers, they help us. They are the organizer.
A lot of hours and hours of sacrifice, planning, visiting of this site, especially the accommodation team and the Ziyafat team. This is my opportunity to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart that they put so many efforts, so much time, and which brought the result.
Commitments to the Khuddam pledge are showcased not only during this weekend. The youth of Australia continue to actively embody these promises as opportunities arise during the year. Clean Up Australia Day, Red Cross Appeal, and the National Tree Day are a few exemplary occasions where sacrifices are made for the sake of one's faith, country, and nation. The ultimate sacrifice is to dedicate one's life to the service of the Jamaat. In 2013, Australian Khuddam were assigned with the blessed task of security for Khalifatul Masih V. Throughout the visit, Khuddam were honoured to yield their life in sacrifice for guarding the institution of Khilafat-e-Ahmadiyya. Our beloved Khalifa, may Allah be his helper, in his recent virtual meeting explained how a Khadim should implement daily practices to fulfill their pledge irrespective of their cultural background.
I have always been saying that your parents should at least try to train their children from the very childhood. Tell them who are they, what is the importance of religion, why they are Ahmadi Muslims, and why should they offer 5 daily prayers. Why should we read Quran and find out the commandments given in the Holy Quran? Why should we practice those commandments and injunctions? In this way, the children would know that what are our duties, who we are. Then if they are brought up even in this culture, in this society, then they will be able to differentiate between good and bad.
The Australian Khuddam do not forget their pledge, which resonates in their heart, the proof of which can be seen in their daily made sacrifices of time, wealth, honour, and the ultimate sacrifice, life.
May Allah the Almighty give us the ability to fulfill our pledge to the utmost. MTA International, Australia Studios.
And with that ends our live coverage of this year's National Ijtema. Head over to MTA News on social media to relive the excitement and the spirituality of this year's Ijtema. And until then, we leave you with the highlights of today's events. Jazakumullah for watching, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
It was a pleasant day in the Hampshire countryside as Khadam and Atfal were gathered to get a glimpse of their beloved Khalifa. As Hazur arrived at this year's National Khuddam Ijtema 2022, slogans broke out amongst those in attendance to express their shared joy and delight. Thousands of Khuddam then waited eagerly to once again pray behind their beloved Imam. After the formal proceedings, Hazur delivered his concluding address. Hazur began by mentioning the recent passing of Queen Elizabeth II and some of her notable qualities.
With the grace of Allah, this weekend, Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, UK has been able to hold its National Ijtema on a large scale for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic began. Originally, Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya had included a full sports programs in the Ijtema program. However, upon the sad demise of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, I instructed Sadr Sahib that the sports and games be scaled back as a mark of respect. I deemed it essential because the Queen was our long-serving head of state and she led the nation with great dignity and justice for over 70 years. During her reign, the United Kingdom remained a beacon of religious freedom in the world. Indeed, the Queen herself advocated for true religious freedom and interfaith harmony on many occasions. Thus, we are grateful to have lived under such a gracious monarch.
Later, Hazur mentioned the importance of prayer and how Khadam should not become complacent in this regard.
With the grace of Allah, many young Ahmadis are very diligent in offering namaz and have developed a personal connection with Allah the Almighty. I have observed such a spirit within many young Ahmadis. I have met, or it has become apparent through their letters to me. Yet there is no room for complacency regarding the worship of Allah the Almighty. We must never let our standards slide. We must continuously seek to improve and strengthen our connection with our Creator. Just as our physical bodies require food and air, in the same way, our souls need continuous spiritual nourishment.
Hazur then reminded the Ahmadi youth of their fundamental duties and the pious qualities they should possess.
Today, it is the duty of Ahmadi youth to lead a campaign and movement against all forms of falsehood and deception, and they must personally lead by example. Every Khadam and Tifl should pledge that they will never tell a lie because falsehood is equivalent to shirk, associating partner with Allah the Almighty. On the one hand, we proudly say, we are the community and people of Allah the Almighty, and bow down sincerely before Him. Yet, at the same time, there are some amongst us who continue to rely upon falsehood to achieve their means and desires. Let it be clear that those who rely on falsehood should not accept the help of Allah, as He will not accept their supplications.
At the end, Hazur led all those in attendance in a silent prayer.
May Allah the Almighty enable all of you to be shining stars of Ahmadiyyat and be those who come to fulfill the true purpose of their creation. May Allah continue to bless Majlis Khuddam wal Ahmadiyya in every respect. Ameen. Now join me in silent prayer. Ameen.
जिनकी चाहत में गिनते थे दिन अपनी तस्कीन जान के लिए फिर वो चेहरे हवेदा हुए जिनकी यादें कयामत कल्बे तपा के लिए